Hey everyone, welcome back to an episode of Create with Linda. So today is Saturday, guys, and I am doing a Talk About It Saturday. Guys, I'm telling you, I've been trying to do this for days. I think it was Thursday or maybe Wednesday or Thursday. I literally went outside, set myself up in the back there by our fire pit, got a little table, got all set up, everything ready to push the button, and I just thought to myself, nope, can't do this today. Just can't do it today. I knew what I wanted to talk about. I wanted to talk about a specific thing, but I felt a little odd talking about it, and I'll tell you why in a little while when I bring up that subject. But, so I just scratched the whole thing. I just put everything, I sat there for like 10 minutes staring at my iPad. My husband's going, what are you doing? What are you doing over there? What are you doing? Are you talking? I'm like, no, I'm not talking. I just sat there for 10 minutes literally until I said, you know what, I can't. I shut the whole thing off, went over to the table and started doing my word search and stuff. Sometimes I just get in my head, guys, and I overthink things, and then it becomes overwhelming and it becomes too much. So I do that to myself. So that's something that I always have to work on. But you know, what am I going to do? I do what I can do to keep myself sane and cope and all that with everyday life stuff. So anyway, that's what happened with that. But so I did a grocery haul today. I went food shopping. I'm exhausted and all of that. But I said, it's a rainy day. Jenny's down at my neighbor's house with one of her girlfriends that my neighbor / landlord's niece. Her and Jenny have been very good friends for years and years. They went to special school together and all that stuff. So they know each other. So she was coming down for the weekend. So Jenny finished Zoom and everything. And so she went down there. So Jenny's down there. My daughter Julie and her boyfriend just left to go to Queens for the weekend, for the rainy holiday weekend. Frankie's working. He'll be home later. Billy's in the living room. And the dogs are taking a rest right now for a few minutes. In and out with the rain, guys. The rain here in upstate, the weather here in upstate New York is crappy. It's chilly. It's rainy. It's windy. It feels like spring. No, it feels like fall. I don't know. It feels like March. Put it like that. It feels like February, March. Very chilly today in the low 50s. And so tomorrow's not going to be any better. They said tomorrow's going to be a complete washout. Today it's raining, but it's not like a heavy rain. It was before, but not anymore. But tomorrow supposedly is going to be a washout. So tomorrow's going to be nothing. And then Monday, half of the day is going to be nice. Half of the day is going to be rain. I think later in the afternoon it's going to be nice. So maybe we can salvage half of a day to go sit outside. Anyway, guys, that's the way it goes. You can't, Mother Nature is just, you can't predict what she's going to do. And I guess, obviously, she's very pissed off this weekend. So she must be that time of the month for Mother Nature, guys. I don't know. Sorry, thirsty. All right, so what I want to talk about today. Talk about it Saturday. There are a few things that I even jotted things down because, guys, I'm telling you, I forget. I can be laying in bed at night and I remember things, and I always try to keep a pad or pencil, or have my phone. I think of something that I want to talk about or think of something that I want to do, and I have to write it down because I swear to God, I say to myself, okay, I'll remember. I don't have to write it down. The next morning, I'm like, what the heck was I thinking about? It's terrible. I can't remember. So I jot a couple of things down here, what I wanted to talk about, just to glance at. Okay. The first thing, guys, is yesterday you guys will see I did a video on when I went to Walmart not wearing a mask. Okay, we knew that you didn't have to wear masks in Walmart. So when we walked in, though, I felt a little awkward, so I had my mask on. I get in there and I look around and I see more than half of the people don't have masks on. Some people do, a lot of people don't. So I felt I felt a little uncomfortable, but I really didn't, if I didn't have to wear it, being fully vaccinated and all that, I knew that I didn't have to wear it, but I didn't know what to do. So I took it off. Felt very awkward walking around. Like, I just felt like everybody was looking at me, or I was like paranoid. Oh my God, am I doing the right thing? Or I'm going to get in trouble. Like, am I doing the wrong thing by not wearing the mask? I felt very, very, very uncomfortable. It was very, very strange. Kept feeling for my mask and just being like in a panic almost that I forgot to put it on. It just was it was a very, uncomfortable feeling, and it was very odd because for so long we had to wear them, and for so long it was like, you have to have your mask on, you have to have your mask. Now it's like, it's the opposite. It's like, it felt very strange, but I decided to just leave it off, and I went about my business and all of that, and it was fine, and it was fine. So I'm getting used to the fact, and then when I went out today, we went to Sam's Club. They didn't you don't have to wear them there if you're fully vaccinated, so I didn't wear mine there. But every once in a while I'm like, oh, my mask, it comes back that I remember, but I'm like, okay, certain places, they still require you to wear a mask. So what I'm doing is keeping the mask with me. And if I need to wear it, if a place, like we went to a fast food restaurant yesterday, you had to wear it in there until you sat down, another place you didn't. So it just depends on the place. So I'm going to do what the rules are since I'm fully vaccinated. And that's what I'm doing. So that was a kind of a dilemma thing, but that I kind of got back into that whole thing. But it was definitely awkward, guys. Comment down below, guys, if you feel the same way. If you feel like awkward when you go into the store for the first time without a mask, it's just really, really strange. I'm curious to know what you guys think about that. All right, next subject. Let's see, what have I got here? I can't even read my own writing. All right, guys. Let's see. All right. This is a big one. Let me get some more water. Give me 1 second. All right. So, guys, it's no secret that I have depression and that I take medication and that I've gone to a therapist for years for my depression and anxiety and all of that stuff, okay? Now, when this pandemic happened, I stopped going to my therapist. I was going to her like at least once a week, if not twice a week, or maybe every other week, once a week. It was coming like that. That's the way I was going to her. And when the pandemic happened, we stopped, obviously. Then, like 2 months, 3 months later, I called her and I did a phone visit with her. At that time, I still had my old insurance. So she was on my insurance still, and everything was good. My husband was still with his job and all that, so nothing was changed there. So I was able to continue with her. I think I spoke to her 2 times on a call. It was very, very hard on the phone. I just felt like it was no connection there. It was just, she was who she was, and I loved her, and she helps me so much. God, I can't even express, okay? But I just didn't feel like it was weird being on the phone. It wasn't that, interaction, and I don't know, it was just weird. So then he lost his insurance because of the whole thing, and then we got, finally 6 months came, 8 months, I got my own insurance, but my insurance doesn't take, her office doesn't take what I'm on. So I couldn't go to her without having to pay out of pocket, out of the whole thing out of pocket. So I called up and I said, how much does she charge? Oh, she charges like they charge like $110 or $100 for 45 minutes, and I'm like, oh my God. If I was able to go in there and see her, that would be worth it to me to go once a month. I would pay that $100 or that $95 to see her in the office, because I just really get so much out of that kind of a visit. But they weren't coming back, and they had no idea, and at that time they had no idea when they were coming back. So I decided to hold off. I wasn't gonna do it. I was gonna wait a little while and see if they came back in the office. Well, things have been really, really good for me the last, I would say, 3 or 4, 5 months, as far as emotionally goes, depression-wise, motivation, my anxiety. I'm doing really, really well, getting the things done that like me and her always spoke about and always worked on and everything. So I felt really good about what was happening in my life and how I've been feeling. So I didn't immediately need her, but although I wish that I had her because of the fact. Now, I have very good friends. I have a best friend that I could tell anything to, and I wouldn't be embarrassed to tell her anything. But it's just different, I think, when you go to a therapist and you know that you walk in there and nothing can be ever said or brought or thrown back at you or anything. You could be your honest, complete self, and not have to worry about any of that stuff. And it is amazing. It's an amazing feeling, and it really, really does my whole being very well. So I haven't had that. Even though I'm doing well, there are things in my life that I need to work out. Things that maybe things that are happening with, let's say, my kids, or, maybe my husband, or maybe, a conflict with here, or a decision that I have to make that I'm having trouble with, or, anxiety or whatever. She is the go-to for me for that. And without that in my life, it's been rough. So the last couple of weeks I've been like, I need to see her. I need to see my lady. I need to see her. And so my husband was getting upset because he knows that I need to see her. But it's a lot of money. So, guys, this morning I was having a melt. Was it this morning? Yeah. This morning I was having a meltdown, and I just said, you know what? I have to call her. Oh, so what happened was I called the office yesterday to see if they're taking, I think it was yesterday or today, one of those days, to see if they were coming into the office yet. And she said no, and I says, why? I says, COVID is getting lighter now. I don't understand why we can't come in, why he's not, the guy, the owner or the manager guy is not opening the office. I don't know, she said, but he has no intentions of opening anytime soon. So I was like, oh my God, this is great. So a stab in the gut. I was like, okay. So I figured I have her personal phone number. So I called her and I said, I'm going to use her name. I said, Alice, can you please help me? I said, I haven't been able to see you. And she's like, I know. How have you been? And everything. And I said, oh, Alice, I said, I've been doing really well, but I need you. You are my best friend as far as my emotional state and all of that. And she says, I know. So I said, can you please, I said, I know you charge $95. Can you please lower it for me so I could come and see, so I could see you? Well, I would, she said, but I can't control what the money that's in the office and all of that. She goes, but I can see you privately. So I'm like, okay, great. So she figured out a price for me, very reasonable, that I can see her privately. And guys, that's what I'm going to do. So I was literally crying on the phone because I was like, I can't, and I'm so glad. I'm going to go to where she is. It's about a half hour from me. I don't care. My husband's like, I don't care how much it is. I don't care, whatever. We're going to do it. So I'm going to go to her in a couple of weeks. I'm going to call her, make an appointment. Oh, God, I was so relieved, guys. All I want is once a month, just once a month to talk to her, because there are things like right now that are going on in my life that I'm kind of struggling with, that I need to speak to her about, because she's so rational and just so, gives me the right tools and just, shows me the whole picture. And it's just really, really helpful. And she helps me make decisions that sometimes that I just can't make myself, or, things that I'm struggling with that I don't know if I can confront. And, she's always there to help me confront them, which is the better thing to do, is to confront and get it over with. And this way, then it's not hanging over you and you don't have that stress and anxiety. And she's a wonder for that. So guys, I'm so relieved. I'm so happy for that. So I'm going to call her next week, and I'm going to make an appointment, and I'm going to go see her. So excited. Very excited about that, guys. So that was one thing. I'm sorry, I have to drink. Doing a lot of chatting makes me thirsty, but it is water, guys. Ice, spring water. Love it. All right. So that's something that's settled. That's something that I wanted to talk to you guys about. I'm so glad that's settled because my emotional health is the most important thing. It's the most important thing. Emotional health because that affects your physical health. And so I have to make sure that that's always top priority and is always intact. So I'm excited, so excited about that. All right, guys, what's the next subject? Let me just see what I jotted down here. All right, this is a touchy one. Listen, okay? I often think to myself, when I'm thinking about changing my life as far as my diet, like Weight Watchers and diabetes and low carb and low sugar and then all of that. A lot of times when I do it, when I start a new thing, I don't like to really come on and say only because for myself I feel funny if I fail or if I quit or if whatever. And, I always start out really, really well. I started Weight Watchers, as you guys know, like 3 or 4 months ago. So I was doing really well. It was, hit or miss, kept me on the right track and all of that. And then, it dwindled a little bit and I was doing it half and then I wasn't doing it and then I was doing it half-assed and then I went back to it and then, well, now, guys, I'm just totally off of it, okay? I'm totally off of it and I've been off of it for probably about 2 months now. So it's just a really, really difficult thing because, I know that I feel so much better when I'm watching what I'm doing, obviously, when I'm losing a little bit of weight, even if it's 10, 15, 20 pounds, it makes me feel better physically, emotionally, mental, everything. But it's just not that easy, and there are so many things that go into it other than just putting the food in your mouth. There's traditions, there's the summer, there's the spring, there's the fall, there's the holidays, there's, emotional times, there's celebrations, there's all different things that go into it. And when I tell you guys that I'll say that if I try 100% to stay on it, I do very, very well 90% of the time. But if I'm trying 50%, then I'm only doing good 50%. In other words, I might not be loading up on the carbs. I'm not, if I'm not on Weight Watchers, I'm not saying that I'm eating like on Amazon and all that. That's not what I'm saying. When I'm not watching my calories or my intake or whatever, it just means that I'm letting myself eat what I want. Like, in other words, I know that I'm not supposed to be having a lot of carbs or a lot of sugar, but when I'm not, really watching, I'll have a piece of cheesecake or, the Entenmann is like that cheesecake I showed you guys earlier. Or I'll have, I will have some French fries, I will have carbs here and there. I try not to overeat and go crazy on all the sugar and stuff because the minute I do that, the sugar, not so much the carbs, it's the sugar. When I eat, if I binge on cookies or, certain stuff, that kind of stuff makes me not feel good. It makes my sugar go high and physically I don't feel good. So I really try not to do that, even when I'm not on a plan. I try really hard to do that. I don't always do good at it all the time and it's just a struggle. And, some days I'm like, this is my life and I want to live my life and enjoy my life, and I don't care about, and I don't care about that it might take 10 years off my life because right now I want that chocolate chip cookie. And yes, guys, that's what I think sometimes. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm selfish. And, I think because my mom was 60 years old when she died. She died suddenly of a blood clot in the lung. Okay? She wasn't feeling good for a while. She finally went to the doctor. She quit smoking 6 months before she died. She was on the track to kind of get herself together and in order and everything. It was too late. She had a blood clot it was too late for my mom. And my sisters and I and my brother always felt kind of resentful to her, resented her, because we felt like, Mom, didn't you love us enough to want to stay here and take care of yourself and, be here for us? And my mother kind of had the attitude that, you know what, I'm enjoying my life. I mean, the night before she died, guys, she went to Red Lobster and had a big seafood meal. And that was my mother. She enjoyed her life. She wore jewelry galore. She didn't do much but work. She was a manager at an answering service. She worked and she lived with my sister, so she was able to, spoil herself. She used to wear these gold bracelets and necklaces and earrings and just be all dolled out, and just was really happy and happy-go-lucky, loved her life. But she was a little selfish. She really was, because she just cared about really herself as far as, I'm not saying she didn't think about us and didn't think about us, wanting to be here for us. I know she didn't want to die. I know she loved us and she didn't want to go anywhere, and she loved her life and all of that. But I can relate to her. I can relate to how it feels when you're in that moment to think, oh, I just want to enjoy that. I want to taste that. Yeah, it's gonna hurt me. It might affect me, but you don't think about that at times. You're thinking a little selfishly, and I'm not going to, deny that. Like, I admit that it is a little bit selfish, and at times, I feel like my family might think that of me, like, how dare I? Nobody's ever said this to me. My immediate family, I'm saying. The other people in my family, I'm not even going to talk about. I'm talking about who matters most, and that's my immediate family. And they've never said that to me. They've never made me feel that way. But my husband and I have often talked about it, and my daughter, and she'll say, Mom, don't you want to be here for your grandchildren? My husband will say, don't you want to be here? And yes, I do want to be here, but it's not as simple as that. It's not as simple as that, and it's a really, really difficult situation. And so I've learned not to beat myself up about it. I try to get up every morning and do my best as far as, how eating and what I put in my mouth. And because, I suffer for it, guys. Let me tell you something. Nobody else suffers more than I do when I eat that piece of cake. Because a half hour later, I'm crying or complaining that my fingers hurt and my feet hurt. And, I don't feel good. And it's because of the sugar intake. So I suffer the consequences, okay? I suffer the consequences. So, I try my best every day to stay on track. I don't know if I'm going to go back on Weight Watchers, technically. I'm watching I watch what I eat, when I want to, and how I feel that day, guys. So I don't think I'm going to go back on Weight Watchers. I think I'm going to stay off it right now. But I'm still going to keep on track as far as my diabetes, because I also want to live. I also want to see my grandchildren, my great-grandchildren. I want to spend, my husband and I, the wonder years together, and, enjoy life and all of that as best as we can and all that, and still feel good. But I'm not really willing at this point to give up my baked potato or my piece of little Entenmann's cheesecake. You know what, guys? I really am not. And if I'm selfish and if I'm self-centered, you know what? I don't know what to say. I really don't know. I'm not going to justify it. I'm not going to apologize for it anymore, because, I really can relate to my mom, and I get it. I really do get it. And I know that she loved us, and I know she wanted to be here, and she didn't want to go anywhere. But I get it. I get it, Mom. I get it. So, guys, that's where I'm at with that. So if you don't hear me talking about Weight Watchers, that's why. I hope I didn't disappoint you guys. I'm sorry if I disappointed anybody. Like I said, it's my life, it's my body, and I suffer the consequences, and I am still wanting to be well. So that's what I'm focused on. Of course I want to lose weight, because, I am chubby, guys. I definitely want to lose weight. I can afford to lose weight. But the main thing is just keeping me healthy as possible, as much as I can, and as much as I can live and enjoy my life and be healthy in the same way. So that's it, guys. I hope there's no judgment here. I don't judge, so I hope I'm not judged. But everybody has their own opinions and their own whatever, and so be it. So that's it. So I just wanted to let you guys know about that. Okay? Let me drink now. All right, guys. Now, this is a kind of a really touchy subject, and this is a subject that I wanted to talk about the other day, but when I sat down to do it, I was like, nah, not the right time, not the right, I don't feel like I'm in the right space and all of that. So I squashed it. But, trying to think how to begin. A couple of weeks ago, my husband and I were sitting outside under the gazebo, and we were talking, and there's just been a lot going on, this past year, I've lost a lot of relatives, and, by death and all of that, and just, I've always thought about, I've always kind of reflected and thought about people who have lost, their husbands and their spouses and their significant others, and just, how it felt like to lose my father and my mother and my close aunts and uncles and all of that, and to feel that pain, and to feel that despair that you feel when you lose somebody that you love and that you can't even breathe from it. And I got to thinking how I would feel. My husband and I were talking a couple of months ago, a couple of weeks ago, yes, but a couple of months ago, about what we would do or how we would feel if we lost one of us, because it is reality, and I think, and he always says, oh, you have to go I have to go first because I can't live without you, and I say the same thing to him, well, I have to go first because I can't live without you. We always say the other one won't be able to live without each other, and you see on Facebook they have those I'm on one of those pages that loved ones who have passed and everything, and people come on there and they talk about losing their husband and how they're in such despair, or their wife, and and their child or whatever, and it's just so hard the pain is so hard to bear when I think about losing my dog Sophie, which I know some people will be like, your dog, you feel the way. You can't compare a person to a dog. No, you can't. Of course not, guys. But it doesn't mean that pain is any less, okay? When I lost my dog, I felt like, and my mother and my father, I felt like my heart was ripped out of my chest, and but thank God I have other people. I have my husband, I have my kids, I have very good friends, I have family, and all of that, and that helps you get through fill those spaces that are, so you're such in pain with. But I thought to myself, what if, what would happen? I think, I watched this YouTuber that had lost her husband suddenly, he was her life, he was young and he died of a heart attack or something happened. He had a bad heart and they didn't know it or something. She was left alone with 3 kids under 10, and just suddenly died, and he was her world. And and how she says, I wish I could have told him, or I wish I could have this. I think about that now because I say to myself, when I am feeling that despair, I want to know, I want to be able to comfort myself and say to myself, oh, look at the butterfly over there, that's him. Or look at the butterfly over there, that's her. Or I want to, and I know that sounds stupid, guys. It might sound stupid, and maybe it is. But that's the stuff that's going to comfort me and going to make me feel better. I need these things to be said before, as far as me and my husband goes. I need these things to be said and to be known before, God forbid, anything goes to ever happen. So at that moment, I'm able to cope with it. I mean, it still would be so rough. And I hate to even talk about this because it's even just taboo and scary to talk about. And I don't want to bring anything up for anybody else who's lost family members and who's lost their husband or their whatever. It just really, really, it's a very, very hard and touching subject. But I also think that it needs to be talked about because it is such a devastating, heartbreaking thing. And I can literally put myself in the spot to think that, and feel a wave of despair come over my body that I can't even imagine if it was real. So I think it's just something that, even though we don't want to talk about, I think taking 5 minutes to talk about that, like with your spouse or your significant other, or whatever it is, to say, oh, look, know that I'll always be with you, and remember what I told you, do this, or remember, always take care of yourself, or remember, even though your heart's going to be broken, let yourself grieve, just let yourself, keep going, and, stuff like that. Those are things that are little trivial, minor things that you say to somebody, but I think will stay in that person's heart and head and will help them go on and move on with their life. And I can't even imagine, God forbid. And I hate to even think about it. But guys, it's reality. It's reality. And I literally sat there with my husband. I had my eyeglasses on, and he was sitting next to me, and I was sitting there, and we were talking about it. And if I could tell you, he didn't even notice. He didn't even know, but I was bawling my eyes out. I was crying. And I was crying like that type of cry that I just hid it from him. I didn't show him. He didn't notice, and I was like, I'm not even going to get into it because I know then he's going to be upset that I'm upset. And, so it was just this big thing to me, but I was crying so pathetically because it was so sad because I put myself in that position, in that spot, and that feeling, and at that moment that I thought to myself, oh my God, like this is what I would feel like. Bad. Really, really hard, guys. It was a hard position to be with. And guys, I really haven't spoke about this. I don't know if I've ever spoke about this on film. But my husband and I this is going to be for another video, but I'm just going to touch a little bit on it. My husband and I were separated for 6 months. Okay, we've been together for 35 years. Okay, we've been together since he was 15. I was 19. We got married. We had babies. We've been together, forever. Well, we were having some issues. I'm not going to go deep into them now or anything, but we were having some issues that we had to really settle out, and we couldn't do it being together. We had to separate. To make a long story short, we separated. We were separated for 6 months, and 3 out of 6 of those months, guys, I knew that I made a wrong decision. I knew right there. I lost my best friend. I lost my everything. My everything, guys. My present, my future, my past, everything. And I realized how good I had it, and how the problems that we had, yes, major problems, like serious problems within ourselves. Nothing that either one of us did, just problems within ourselves that needed to be settled, that affected both of us together. And I just realized that it wasn't worth it. I mean, we went to marriage counseling before we even separated and all of that. And we just both realized that the problems are smaller than what we are together. We have more than just a marriage. We have a friendship. We have a camaraderie. We have, we love each other. We care about each other. We, all of that, guys, family, life, everything. So that really took me back to that spot to think, oh my God, that wave of feeling so lonely. I'll never forget the first night my husband wasn't there in the bedroom and the bed at night. That first night, I laid in the bed and cried my eyes to sleep the whole entire night, because even though I knew we had to do it, it was the hardest possible thing that I ever could have done. It was devastating. It was really, really difficult. And so I know, guys, I know what it feels like. So I'm just so grateful. And I'm not saying we don't fight. I'm not saying we don't argue. And some days I'm like, get the hell out of my face, and and all that, and whatever. But guys, I'm telling you, I'm so lucky. I'm so lucky to have somebody who loves and cherishes me and takes care of me, and in every way possible, and emotionally, physically, mentally, everything. And I try to do that for him. And sometimes I feel bad because emotionally I'm more needy than he is, mostly. But we're there for each other, guys, and we're in for the long haul. And it's just what it is. It is what it is. So I'm just grateful every day, and I just try to remember and say the things that I want to say, so that, God forbid, if anything ever happened to us, because it's reality, then maybe it'll help us in that time. So that's what I wanted to talk about today, guys. I hope it wasn't a little dreary. I just wanted to, touch base on some things that are, kind of like taboo, that you don't want to talk about. You don't want to go there and everything. And that's me. I mean, that's me. I never want confrontation, never want to talk about scary or sad or, bad things. But I've learned a lot, in that you really have to confront things. Because if you don't confront them, number one, it's going to hurt you in the future. Number two, it's going to hurt your present. And number three, it's important to feel better at that moment. It's important to get that off your head and get that off your heart and your stress and everything, so you can live a better life and a happier life. Life isn't perfect. It's never going to be perfect. And believe me, I struggle every day. You guys know that. Depression, anxiety, finances, this, that, but we're really, you just have to really be grateful. And that's what I'm trying to be. And you know what, guys? Every day's a new day. Every day's a new day. Tomorrow might be a bad day. The next day might be a bad day, but maybe the next day will be a good day. The sun comes out every morning, and you just got to remember that, guys, all right? So I'm going to end this video now because it's long enough, and you guys are probably like, let's go already. All right, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And remember, guys, don't let anybody ever dull your shine. I haven't said it in a while, and I'm sorry, but I always feel that way, and that's always what I'm going to say and feel. So, guys, don't do it. Walk away. They're not worth it. Take care of yourself and your own heart. All right, guys, so don't forget, if you like this video, please hit that thumbs up button on the bottom. And if you, and share and subscribe, and also hit the notification button with the bell so you guys can be notified every time I upload. All right, guys, I'll see you on the what's for dinner, probably, and the next video. Bye, guys.